CTV News at 5 with Hudson Mack.
Developing story on the West Shore at this hour. More proof tonight that the woods on Vancouver Island are tinder dry. Firefighters are scrambling right now, frantically trying to stop flames from spreading after a massive grass fire broke out just off Highlands Road in View Royal. White plumes of smoke could be spotted from downtown Victoria. Fire crews were called to Highland Road and Barker Road, that's near Craigflower Creek, just after 3 this afternoon, with reports of a grassy area igniting in flames and burning fast. The first pictures from the scene have come in from CTV News viewers, showing a number of fire trucks responding from both View Royal and Colwood as a backup. BC Forestry helicopters are circling in the sky. Traffic is closed in the area. We're told just moments ago that the fire is now contained, but it's still burning. Crews are mopping things up. We have a crew at the scene. We'll bring you more and our first pictures from the scene as soon as we can. Voting online may be coming to British Columbia, but it will not happen in time for next spring's general election. If the province gets the go-ahead from BC's Chief Electoral Officer, you might be clicking your mouse instead of marking your X. The Attorney General is forming a panel to consider internet voting. It'll look at voting online in other jurisdictions and how that's going, looking for potential problems. The province says if the panel can guarantee the integrity of an online ballot over the internet, it would make voting far more convenient for British Columbians and could likely improve turnout. But the NDP says the province must tread carefully because it could also lead to a spike in voter fraud.
I think that's the hope of everybody, that it will increase voter turnout, but implementing it, if in fact that's what the commission or committee or panel recommends, does present some problems. There's issues of security, the integrity of the voting system, identification of voters, all of those things, because up until now we've certainly had very little, if any, voter fraud, whereas I think most people are suspicious that internet voting might in fact allow for a great deal of electoral fraud.
Elections BC says the panel will include experts in cryptography, internet security, and electoral administration. The panel will have its first meeting as early as next month. A North Vancouver man has been charged with uttering threats after backing the Colorado movie theater massacre on Facebook. The man behind the post is Ryan Lewis. He appeared in a North Vancouver provincial courtroom. RCMP say they had to act after Lewis posted his rant, which appeared to support the shooting spree that killed 12 people and wounded 58 at the midnight premiere of The Dark Knight Rises in Aurora, Colorado. RCMP say Lewis's posting was graphic and disturbing and threatened public safety. He was arrested August 1st and released on several conditions at his appearance, including staying off the internet and remaining at his mother's house. A warning tonight for drivers who are heading down Dallas Road in Victoria. Vic PD and the Greater Victoria Harbour Authority are cracking down on speeders. They say you need to slow down before someone is critically injured or killed. With tourism season at its peak and with 4 more cruise ships tying up at Ogden Point today, bringing in about 10,000 passengers, police are asking you to stick to the speed limit on Dallas Road. The Harbour Authority was putting reminders on drivers' vehicles to slow down as Vic PD launched its speed control strategy this afternoon. Police say people living in James Bay are upset. They're concerned that there are just too many speeding taxis and buses in their neighborhood, and it's only a matter of time before a pedestrian is hit.
The James Bay Neighborhood Association actually brought forth a very comprehensive, complaints and concerns that they raised about cruise ship traffic in the area, and we've taken that under consideration and developed a speed management plan in consultation with the Harbour Authority to help alleviate some of that. So what you see behind me today is part of that, and our reserve constables with their speed watch and trying to just remind and educate motorists to slow down.
And consider this, Vic PD says any tour operator caught speeding in the neighborhood could immediately lose their permits to service passengers at Ogden Point. On average, Ogden Point sees about 475,000 passengers and 200,000 cruise ship crew members passing through every year. Well, the winds of change blew across CFB Esquimalt today as the Canadian Fleet Pacific salutes a new commander. The change of command ceremony took place at HMC Dockyard today. Rear Admiral Peter Ellis signed over command to Commodore Scott Bishop. Ellis is retiring after returning from the RIMPAC exercises and taking on his new post as Deputy Commander of Canadian Joint Operation Command in Ottawa. Bishop comes from the East Coast. His last post was in Halifax, but he grew up in Vancouver and says it's good to be back on the West Coast.
There's always lots of challenges going on in the fleet, so I'm looking forward to getting to those. One of the big things I'm really looking forward to is just working with the sailors. We spend a lot of time as senior officers working in our headquarters, and it's just a thrill to be able to come down and be able to work with young sailors who are working these ships so hard and doing great business all over the world, looking after Canadian interests and doing what the government has asked them to do.
Bishop will be in charge of the Pacific Coast Fleet, which consists of 6 maritime coastal defense ships, 2 submarines, and 5 frigates. He will also take on responsibility for Canadian task groups on national and multinational exercises and naval operations. More concerns about smart meters in this province, but BC Hydro says homeowners must share responsibility for electrical safety after 2 recent house fires that ignited following the installation of smart meters in the homes. Fires have occurred at houses in Mission and Coquitlam this summer after the installation of the smart meters. BC Hydro says it was a cracked meter base plate or socket that may be the cause of at least one of those fires. And Hydro says that socket is the homeowner's responsibility. And there was another reunion last night, this one at Victoria International Airport, a family and its wayward cat that wound up in Winnipeg. You may recall we brought you this story last night about Bandit, the cat who crawled into a moving truck in Victoria's Cook Street Village, then made a trip 1,900 kilometers to Winnipeg. Well, as the song goes, the cat came back, and Bandit did it with class, flying home this time. The aircraft carrying Bandit touched down at Victoria International about 5:30 last night. The cat's owner and his 4-year-old daughter were waiting at the arrivals area, anxious to get their hands on their furry fugitive. Eventually, Bandit arrived, safe and sound, to a family shocked by what had happened.
It's almost surreal. You can't make this stuff up. It's too good to be true. You know, there's so many steps along the way where he just could have, met his downfall, but he didn't. There's a lot of strangers coming together to make this happen, and you can always count on Canadians to do things gratuitously. Thanks so much for coming through on this.
This part is very special, seeing Chloe here with a big smile on her face, reunited with her cat. That's always positive.
Yeah, absolutely, especially since, we've never met these people, and we didn't know the people who gave us the cat in the airport in Winnipeg. And to kind of feel like the middle piece of the puzzle.
The powers of social networking.
Isn't that the truth? Bandit's family brought the travel companions an orchid as their way of saying thank you for bringing their kitty home. The cat was escorted to and was loaded into his vehicle for a short car ride home, there to sleep off an adventure of a lifetime, maybe 9 lifetimes, with more to come. And Vic PD had its hands full this afternoon with another incident. A 22-year-old Victoria woman is in custody tonight after allegedly biting another woman in the face. Vic PD was called to the 2500 block of Blanchard Street this afternoon with reports of a violent assault unfolding. When police got there, they say a 53-year-old woman was found with bite wounds to the face in what appeared to have been a domestic dispute. The younger of the 2 women faces charges of assault, causing bodily harm, uttering threats, and 2 counts of breaching parole. Police say alcohol appears to be a factor. Showed you the grass fire burning in View Royal earlier. Here's another warning from the Victoria Fire Department tonight about how dry things are and the dangers of lighting beach fires. Firefighters say with tinder dry conditions along Dallas Road, they fear it's just a matter of time before a beach fire gets out of control. They are prohibited, but fire crews responded to a couple of beach fires this morning, and just after putting the second one out, they had to turn the truck around and go back with reports of a homeless man cooking over an open flame on the beach.
Lighting beach fires is not the thing to be doing. And even with, there's a law in Victoria you cannot burn at all 365 a year. So earlier we put out 3 beach fires and went by a young man who said, who looked like he was going to light one, and said, "Don't do it." And he said, "I won't." And within half an hour, we're back again. He lights it, and we put it out, and hopefully it won't happen again.
The firefighters say if you do light a beach fire, you're putting lives at risk. It can spread quickly and get out of hand and burn up the hillside. And if you're caught doing it, the fine is $350. A cyclist was rushed to the hospital in Nanaimo with serious injuries last night after being hit by an SUV near Terminal Park Mall. Police say the vehicle didn't stop. The only description is that it was a dark-colored SUV that hit the man just after 6 o'clock.
47-year-old male who was crossing the crosswalk when he was struck by a northbound SUV. He was thrown to the ground, he hit his head, and he suffered serious leg injuries. Taken to the hospital, he was treated and later released that night.
Officers canvassed the area for witnesses, couldn't find any. If you have any information on the crash, you're asked to contact Nanaimo RCMP. The number's on your screen, or call Crime Stoppers. A former bank manager from Nanaimo faces charges of fraud and theft after money was illegally transferred out of dormant accounts at TD Canada Trust. 48-year-old Frederick Deering was the customer service manager at the Turner Road branch of the bank. He was fired in 2010 after the bank discovered nearly $60,000 had gone missing from dormant accounts. None of the accounts were held by people from Nanaimo. RCMP are warning about a pair of thefts that may be connected, one in Nanaimo, the other in Sydney. Police say thieves working in pairs both times struck outside grocery stores. One person approaches the victim as they load their car up after shopping. They ask for directions, pull out a map to divert the victim's attention. At that point, the second person slips in and steals the victim's wallet or purse out of their vehicle. So far, 2 people have been targeted. If you know who's doing this or have any information on the crimes, you're asked to contact RCMP. Passengers were stuck on the ferry at Hornby Island for about 40 minutes this morning after a travel trailer, that is, got stuck. It was unloading its shingle spit when it got hung up on the bulkhead. The crew was eventually able to guide the driver out without damaging the ferry or the trailer, but it did force the cancellation of one round trip to Hornby.